Good midnight, everybody. This is your NWS play-by-play commentator Joe Galli. And this is your NWS color commentator Dan Lambert. And this is your NWS Board of Directors Chairman and still your NWS Hardcore Champion, Mischief Mikey Miller. And today, me and these two clowns, Joe Galli and Dan Lambert, are going to give you our NWS Revolution Summer HeatWave pay-per-view review. And it was a really great pay-per-view. Take it away, Joe Galli, you dork. Take a look at yourself in the mirror before you call somebody a dork, Mikey. But anyway, let's begin with the paper. Let's begin with the pay-per-view review. Okay? The commentators for the show were me, Joe Galli, Dan Lambert, and Michael Cole. And we were hailing from the Amerant Bank. And we were heading from the Amerant Bank Arena and Sunrise, Florida. And it was indeed a one hell of a pay-per-view. Okay, the scene opens with Michael Cole, microphone in hand, standing in the ring. The lights dim slightly as Mischief Mikey Miller, dressed in an expensive suit, strolls out to a course of booze. Rightfully so. He smirks, soaking in as he enters the ring and takes a seat in a lavish armchair that's been set up. Michael Cole, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the NWS Board of Directors Chairman, Mischief Mikey Miller. The booze continue as Mikey adjusts his tie and offers the submissive wave to the crowd. Michael Cole, Chairman Miller, thank you for joining me tonight. The NWS Universe is buzzing about your upcoming match tonight at NWS HeatWave against your own brother, Jaden Miller. Mischief Mikey Miller, a condescending smile plays on his lips. But buzzing, Michael? Is that what they're counting it these days? The word you're looking for is desperate. Desperate to see the so-called hero, Jaden, get put in this place by someone who actually knows how to run a business. Michael Cole, some might say challenging your own brother, especially a manager agent like Jaden, to a wrestling match is unconventional to say the least. Mr. Mikey Miller says, unconventional? It's a good business, Michael. Jaden has been a thorn in my side for too long, constantly questioning my decisions. Always trying to play the good guy in the NWS. There's only room for one true boss, and that's me, the chairman. He thinks he can just waltz in and challenge me. He thinks he can just put my hardcore championship on the line. He's got another thing coming. Michael Cole says, well, he did accept your challenge and suggested you put your hardcore title online, which you've agreed to. Many are wondering if you're underestimating Jaden, given his reputation for being a disciplined and focused individual. Then Mr. Mikey Miller says, underestimate him? Michael, please. Jaden is a glorified errand boy. He's good at carrying briefcases and whispering in people's ears, but he's never truly known what it takes to be a champion. He's always played by the rules while I make them. The hardcore title is simply a trinket that will remain firmly in my grasp, a symbol of my undisputed authority here in NWS. Jaden will learn that some family ties are meant to be severed, especially when they're holding you back from greatness. Michael Cole, a lot of people feel that Jaden's actions are driven by a desire to bring honor and fairness back to the NWS, and you're standing in the way of that. Mr. Mikey Miller, honor, fairness? He laughs. The honor, fairness, Michael, those are for the weak. This isn't a playground, it's a battleground. And at Summer Heatwave, Jaden Miller will finally understand that the NWS revolution belongs to me, and he's just another stepping stone on my path to absolute power. He'll regret ever challenging his older brother. You can bank on that. And then Michael Cole continues. Michael Cole, Mikey, let's cut to the chase. The fans, the locker room, everyone wants to know why. Why the constant public punishment for the owner of Chairman CEO of the NWS Revolution, Scott Kisageo, also known as Scooter St. Rhoda. What's the end game? Mr. Mikey Miller leaning back in the chair with a sneer. The end game, Michael? It's about respect. It's about demonstrating authority. Scott Kisageo thought he owned the company, but he was wrong. I own him. And that brings us to the next question. Why does the big bad CEO Scott Kisageo have to sit on my lap? Mr. Mikey says. Michael Cole says, it's degrading, Mikey. It's sadistic. It has to stop. Mr. Mikey Miller, degrading? It's an enforced display of respect. He comes out to the wing like a child who's been told to sit on Santa's lap. It's my way of reminding him and everyone else exactly who is in control here. He's not the man in charge. He's just my puppet. Michael Cole, but what's the stop? But that's just the stop. The lap is a minor indignity compared to your other abuses. What about the time you, Mr. Mikey, would interrupt you with a chuckle, made him wear the Mikey's little helper onesie to the wing in the holidays? Oh, that was a good one. Or how about make him sing, I'm a little teapot on a live broadcast? Scott loves a good singer. Michael Cole. He was visibly humiliated, Mikey. The ones who the sing, and then there was the silent treatment where you forced him to stand in the corner of your office for an hour while you did a board meeting on a live feed. These are actions of a bully, not a chairman. Mr. Mikey Miller, smiling honey. A chairman does what's necessary to maintain order. Every single one of my punishments is a calculated message. The onesie, a message that he's my subordinate. The sing, a message that I can make him dance to my tune. The corner, a message that he is to be seen and not heard. These are random acts of cruelty, Michael. They're lessons, and with every lesson, the message gets clearer. The only voice that matters in NWS is mine. Mischief Mikey Miller wisens his gaze, fixed intensely on the camera before turning and slowly exiting the wing as the crowd continues to cheer. In the wow, Mr. Mikey Miller, you are a bully. The way you treat Scott Kisageo. And by the way, Scott Kisageo is still the boss. Just to let you know, Mikey. What do you think? What do you make about this, Dan Lambert? Total public humiliation, disrespect to the owner, chairman, the CEO of the NWS Revolution, Scott Kisageo. And yes, Mikey, he is the boss. Scott Kisageo has the final say. Yes, you are the board of directors chairman. You have an ironclad contract. It's laminated. Then you do have control over the owner, chairman, CEO of the NWS Revolution. But Mikey, come on. Scott Kisageo is not your puppet. Scott Kisageo is his own man. He's got his own apartment. Man, he works at Dunkin' Donuts as a maintenance cleaner. Come on, Mikey. Oh, Joey, Galli, and Danny Lambert. Big deal. I own Scott Kisageo. He is my puppet, and I am his master. He is my subordinate, and I am his commander. Scott Kisageo is my personal servant, which means he does chores for me. He is my adopted father, and I am his adopted son. but I, Mischief Mikey Miller, still have control for him. So in a way, I'm sort of like a second father figure to him. I'm like a drill sergeant to Scott Casey Gale. Scott Casey Gale is my shadow and lap servant. You want to know what him being my shadow means? That means Scott Casey Gale, also known as Scooter St. William, the owner, chairman, CEO of the NWS Revolution and the NWS World Heavyweight Champion, has to follow me everywhere I go. Every single place I go. Whether he goes to my house, he has to follow me. Whether he's at his apartment, he has to follow me. Whether he's at his job at Dunkin' Donuts, he has to follow me. Even when he's in the public bathroom, he has to follow me. But he could at least at least when Scott Casey Gale takes a shower, at least he does. I will give him his privacy, but only for that. And what's my lap servant? That means Scott Casey Gale, it serves me while I was sitting on my lap. Whenever Scott Casey Gale breaks a shadow rule, Joe Galli and Dan Lambert have said this before, he has to sit on my lap. And he has to suffer more public humiliation with shows. Okay, Joe Galli and Dan Lambert, do you two clowns get it? I own Scott Casey Gale. Okay? He is my shadow and my lap servant. Get that through your thick skulls. Wow, Mischief Mikey, just wow. Take it away, Dan Lambert. You know, Mikey, one of these days, karma is going to come back at you. And then in the office of NWS Revolution owner, chairman, CEO Scott Casey Gale and his manager agent Jaden Miller, they talk about Mikey being a cocky, arrogant, ignorant, obnoxious, selfish, controlling prick. And Jaden says he will shut his brother up once and for all. And then it's the first match, NWS Summer Heatwave, TLC match with the NWS World Tag Team Title Champions Michael Scott's-Mine and Rob McGovern, with Assistant General Manager Paul Heyman in the corner versus the Hardy Boys. Matt and Jeff Hardy versus the Dudley Boys. Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley. It was great to see the Dudley Boys here in the NWS Revolution. The atmosphere in the arena crackled with anticipation as these legendary teams stood poised for battle. The Hardys, known for the high-flying artistry, and the Dudleys, these purveyors of extreme tables warfare, and imposing duo of Miner and McGovern, a team built on brute strength and cunning. The bell rang and chaos swept. Jeff Hardy, with the signature Daredevil spirit, was the first to scale a ladder, only to be met by a waiting Bubba Ray, who launched him off and through a strategically placed table on the outside. The Dudleys quickly seized control, isolating Matt Hardy and subjecting him to a barrage of chair shots, leading to a vintage rise-up headbutt from Devon to the top rope, driving the chair into Matt's skull. Mine and McGovern, however, were not to be outdone. Scar's Mine used his immense strength to powerbomb Devon Dudley the full table in the corner, while McGovern introduced the ladder to the mix, using it to batter Bubba away. The Hardys wailed with Matt, delivering a twist of fate to McGovern on the steel steps, and Jeff ascending to a ladder. Ascending to a ladder on the outside, hitting a breathtaking swanton bomb onto Miner, crashing through another table. The match devolved into an hour war with bodies flying, tables splintering, and chairs clanging. The commentators Joe Galli, Michael Combs, and me, Dan, were calling this match a true wrestling passion. The intensity minded the classic encounters between these teams and other organizations. In a pivotal moment, Bubba Ray and Devon were preparing to put Jeff Hardy through a flaming table. but Matt Hardy intervened, pushing them both up the apron for a ladder that had been propped up against the ring. With both Hardys and Dudleys winning, Miner and McGovern saw the opening. McGovern set up a massive ladder in the center of the ring when Miner held up a dazed Matt Hardy as McGovern ascended a groggy Jeff Hardy, attempted to stop him, but Miner intercepted, delivering a devastating scar for life onto Jeff for the remaining table outside the ring. McGovern reached the top, unhooking the NWS World Tag Team Championships, sealing his victory for himself and Scars in a brutal, unforgettable TLC match at Summer HeatWave. And this was a great match. This was definitely a great match. Like I said, me, Joe Galli, and Michael Cole were calling this match of true wrestling passion. And you got to give credit to Michael Scars Mine and Rob McGovern for still being the NWS Tag Team titles and bringing a lot of intensity and prestige to those NWS Tag Team titles. Even though that I don't approve of them, Michael Scott's Mine and Rob McGovern's when being a member of the Don Callis family and the Elite Blood Warriors, there's still one hell of a great tag team. What do you say, Joe Galli? Oh, without a doubt, the opening match was definitely an all-time classic. What do you think, Mikey? Yes, I loved everything I saw about this match. I mean, Michael Scars Miner and Rob McGovern are one of the greatest tag team wrestlers here in the NWS Revolution. And Michael Scars Miner and Rob McGovern are the greatest tag team champions here in the NWS Revolution. I mean, they do a lot these tag team titles. And the second match, NWS Summer Jay Lawson with Noah Higgins retains the United States Championship match against Kyle Fletcher, with General Manager Don Callis in his corner, who finally escaped being captured at the hands of the Destructive Patriots. So let's begin. At the NWS Summer Heatwave pay-per-view, Jay Lawson successfully defended his NWS United States Championship against a determined Kyle Fletcher. It's a hard-fought battle. This match, anticipated by many fans of NWS Revolution, delivered its promise of intensity and high-stakes drama. From the opening bell, Fletcher, known for his aggressive style and technical prowess, took the fight to Lawson, aiming to the ground of the champion and wear him down with submissions and precise strikes. Lawson, however, displayed his charismatic resilience and found openings for his explosive offense. The match featured several near falls and dramatic reversals, with both competitors pushing the limits. Fletcher utilized his strength to execute a series of powerful slams and a devastating pile driver, seemingly putting Lawson on the verge of defeat. The crowd was on the edge of their seat as Lawson kicked out at two, showcasing his champion spirit. As the match neared its conclusion, Fletcher attempted to lock in his signature submission hold. However, Lawson managed to counter creating a critical opening, seizing the opportunity. Lawson unleashed a flurry of strikes, culminating in his finishing maneuver, securing the pinfall victory and retaining the NWS United States Championship. Winner and still NWS United States Champion Jay Lawson, and this match lasted like 16 minutes. Jay Lawson's victory further solidified his reign as NWS United States Champion, demonstrating his ability to overcome top-tier challenges like Kyle Fletcher. This loss marks a setback for Fletcher, who came incredibly close to capturing his first major singles title in NWS Revolution. It will be interesting to see how this outcome impacts the trajectories of both competitors within the NWS Revolution EFED. Wow, I gotta say, my former best friend, Jay Lawson, actually could prove that he could wrestle. He actually proved that he is a deserving United States champion. But fear not, Jay Lawson, because I, Mischief Mikey Miller, am going to be the one who takes the United States title off of you, former old buddy, old pal, old best friend. What do you think, Joe Galli? It was one hell of a United States title match. I really enjoyed calling this match with Joe Galli and Dan Lambert. Jay Lawson has proved that he is indeed a deserving United States champion. He brings a whole lot of prestige and respect to that title. And I'm pretty sure Darman is proud of Jay Lawson. Now it's Now was the next match. It was Noah Higgins against with Jay Lawson in his corner defeated Lance Archer with General Manager Don Callis and retaining the NWS Intercontinental Championship at Summer Heatwave. The air in the arena was thick with anticipation as Noah Higgins made his way to the ring, the NWS Intercontinental Championship gleaming on his shoulder. Across from him stood the formidable Murderhawk monster, Lance Archer, whose intimidating presence sent a ripple of unease through the crowd. The bell rang, signaling the start of the high anticipated clash at Summer Heatwave. Archer, known for his relentless aggression, immediately went on the offensive, overwhelming Higgins with a flurry of powerful strikes and a devastating chokeslam that nearly ended the contest. And in its early moments, the champion struggled to withstand the onslaught of his title defense, hanging by a thread. However, Higgins, showcasing his resilience and veteran instincts, weathered the storm, slowly but surely finding openings in Archer's offense. The match became a brutal war of attrition. While both competitors traded heavy blows and desperate maneuvers, Archer's strength was undeniable. But Higgins' ability and technical prowess proved to be a formidable counter. After a series of near falls that had the audience on the edge of their seats, Higgins managed to catch Archer off guard for a perfectly timed counter, culminating in a signature maneuver that put the Murderhawk monster down for the count. The referee's hand slapped the mat for the third time, and the crowd erupted as Noah Higgins secured the victory. Noah Higgins clutches the NWS Intercontinental Championship tightly, his hand raised in triumph as the arena lights shone down on him. He had faced his toughest challenge yet, Lance Archer, and once again proved why he is a fighting champion. The win, the win solidifies his reign as NWS Intercontinental Champion as he looks ahead to future challenges. And this was a great match. Noah Higgins, another character from Darman Studios, and a former friend of Mischief Mikey Miller, proved Mischief Mikey Miller and our doubters wrong. Noah Higgins is a very deserving NWS Intercontinental Champion. What do you say, Dan Lambert? Oh, without a doubt, Noah Higgins has brought a lot of prestige to the NWS Intercontinental Championship. He definitely deserves that. And he proved all his naysayers wrong. Noah Higgins definitely showed that he could definitely wrestle. And in my opinion, this was one of Noah Higgins' best matches and one of the best NWS Intercontinental title matches I have ever seen and ever had the ability to call with true wrestling passion. What do you say, Mikey? You know, Noah Higgins impressed me. Surprisingly, he impressed me, and he actually put on a very great wrestling match. I am I am really surprised that Noah Higgins can actually wrestle. I've seen him wrestle before, but he has really improved his in-ring skills. I will give him credit on that. It was a great match. And then I got this Dan Lambert, Michael, the NWS headed countermeasures, Michael Cole interviews the NWS board of directors and my brother, Jaden Miller. Michael Cole, welcome back to the NWS Revolution Network. Michael Cole is here, and today's guest on this unique set provided by Dominant Studios is NWS Director of Operations, Jaden Miller, who had many challenges lately. Thank you for being here, Jaden. Jaden Miller, thanks for having me, Michael. It's been eventful. Well, Michael, eventful is the one way to put it. Jaden accepted his brother, Mr. Mikey Miller's challenge to a match at Summer Heatwave with his NWS Hardcore title on the line. This is more than just a title match. Given the history between them, Jaden Miller says, absolutely, Michael. This isn't just about the title. It's about respect, family, and setting the record straight. Michael Cole, let's address some of Mikey's recent comments. He's been verbally attacking Jaden, questioning his leadership, dedication, and presence in NWS. Mikey said Jaden Miller is nothing but a puppet, pulling strings for the board, too afraid to get his hands dirty. He's a glorified errand boy, not a director of operations, and he certainly isn't a champion. What is Jaden? What is Michael? So what is Jaden's response? Jaden Miller clenching a jaw, to a flicker of anger in his eyes. A puppet, an errand boy. Mikey's always been quick with the insults when he can't back it up in the ring. Mikey confuses integrity with weakness. Jaden chooses to do things the right way to build this company, not tear it down like Mikey. Michael Cole. Mikey also suggested Jaden's position in the NWS is due to family ties, implying that he hasn't earned his place, which is true. My brother Jaden hasn't earned his place. Jaden Miller scoffs. Mikey's always looked for shortcuts, always found ways to cheat the system. That's been his approach since childhood. He thinks because Jaden respects the rules and this company that he hasn't fought for everything he has. He thinks mischievous makes him clever, but it makes him a liability. Michael Cole asks, is this match at Summer Heatwave tonight Jaden's opportunity to silence Mikey and prove him wrong? Jaden Miller says it's Jaden's opportunity to remind Mikey and everyone watching that there's a difference between being clever and being right. Jaden isn't afraid to fight. That Summer Heatwave tonight, he's going to teach his big brother a lesson that he won't soon forget. And Mikey will find exactly what kind of director of operations Jaden is. When he's looking up at the lights, the hardcore title, though, will remain among the waist of the man who respects it and this company. Michael Cole, powerful words from Jaden Miller. The Summer Heat just got a lot more intense. We'll be right back. Mr. Mikey Miller and Paul Heyman when mock Jaden Miller's backstage. Mr. Mikey Miller and Paul Heyman mock Jaden Miller backstage as Paul Heyman tells Mikey he will be in his corner tonight since he has a contingency plan. Well, Mikey, Jaden, my dear little brother, Jaden, let's just say your dreams of taking the hardcore title off of me have been crushed. You weren't pinned, you weren't submitted. And you all will find out what happened in the match between me and my little brother, Jaden Miller. But anyway, strong words from my little brother, Jaden Miller. He's just mad because I spoke the truth about him. The only reason Jaden Miller is the NWS Director of Operations is because my shadow and lap servant, Scott Kisegeo, gave him that job because Jaden asked Scott Kisegeo to be his manager agent, and Scott Kisegeo, being the stooge goody two shoes that he is, accepted to hire Jaden Miller as his manager agent and then promoted him to director of operations because my brother Jaden Miller is another goody two shoes, and so is Scott Kisegeo. And that, Joe Galli and Dan Lambert, is the truth. Now, Joe Galli, you may go ahead and read the next match. NWS Summer Heatwave Falls Count Anywhere match. Vinny Joe with Jaden Miller, Psycho Mercer with Paul Heyman. The NWS Summer Heatwave pay-per-view reached its fever pitch as deeply personal Falls Count Anywhere match between Vinny Joe and Psycho Mercer exploded onto the scene, with the cunning Jaden Miller accompanying Vinny Joe and the legendary Paul Heyman in Psycho Mercer's corner. This was more than just a West match. It was a clash of ideologies and a battle for supremacy in NWS. The bell rang and all hell broke loose. Psycho Mercer, fueled by Heyman's directives, immediately charged Joe, delivering a devastating clothesline that sent him toppling out of the ring. This action spilled into the NWS Revolution Arena crowd as Heyman shrieked instructions to Psycho Mercer, urging him to use anything he could find. Psycho Mercer obliged, grabbing a steel chair and mercilessly assaulting Joe's back as the crowd roared. Vinny Joe, however, was resilient. He ducked under a chair shot, grabbing Mercer by the leg, dragging him towards the announce table. Jaden Miller, Jaden Miller, the strategist, distracted Heyman at ringside, preventing him from intervening. From intervening, as Joe hosted Psycho Mercer onto his shoulders, forgot Royale. Joe power Joe Vinny power bomb Mercer through the announce table, sending sprinters flying. The referee quickly dove to count, but Psycho Mercer, despite the devastating impact, kicked out at 2, clearing defiantly. Exo Heyman, seething, screamed at Psycho Mercer to retaliate. The two continued the battle of the war backstage, fighting through production areas and concession stands. Psycho Mercer, with Paul Heyman's guidance, managed to gain the upper hand, slamming Joe's head against a stack of crates. He then locked in a submission hold, but Vinny Joe managed to grab a fire extinguisher and blast Psycho Mercer directly in the face, breaking the hold and sending Psycho Mercer reeling. The match returned to the main arena, but not to the ring. Psycho Mercer, blinded by the extinguisher spray, stumbled near the entrance ramp. Vinny Joe capitalized, hitting Mercer with his signature Vinny Joe driver and his Vinny Joe driver DDT. So let me get this. Says Vinny Joe capitalized, hitting Psycho Mercer with his signature Joe driver DDT on the concrete floor of the ramp. As Psycho Mercer lay from Vinny Joe scaled the massive NWS Summer Heatwave entrance. Jaden Miller pointed fiercely at Psycho Mercer, screaming at Vinnie Joe to finish him. From the top of the Townsend, Vinnie Joe launched himself, soaring through the air with a breathtaking Vinnie bomb directly onto Psycho Mercer. The impact ended the arena as the referee made the free count for this on the unforgiving concrete. Winner Vinnie Joe, Jaden Miller, Vinnie Joe with the Vinnie bomb, and this was a great match. Vinnie Joe has been on an undefeated streak ever since he returned to the NWS Revolution. I believe he's only lost one match since his return, but still, he is, man, wow. I mean, in my opinion, Vinnie Joe deserves to hold a singles title. I mean, this guy can wrestle. I mean, in my opinion, Vinnie Joe is a future world heavyweight champion and a future undisputed champion. What do you say, Dan Lambert? Oh, 100%. This match was brutal, and Paul Heyman and Paul Heyman did interfere in the match, but Vinnie Joe's manager Jaden Miller was there to stop him. But this is just great. Not only did we see great wrestling in ring skills from both Vinnie Joe and Psycho Mercer, but we also saw very interesting interference from both Jaden Miller and Paul Heyman. I mean, this was a great match, no doubt about it. Vinnie Joe has been on a roll ever since his return to the NWS Revolution. What do you say, Mr. Mikey Miller? This was definitely an amazing false count anywhere match. I mean, my special counsel, the assistant general manager, Paul Heyman, did get involved in the match. And then, of course, my little brother, Jaden Miller, has to get involved. He has to help Vinnie Joe. You know, in my honest opinion, if it wasn't for my brother, Jaden Miller's interference, then I truly believe Psycho Mercer would have defeated Vinnie Joe. But see, that's what my brother does. Once somebody hires my brother as a manager agent, he's going to do everything in his power to help his client win. Hell, he has been known to interfere in Scott Kisagio, also known as Scooter St. Williams, wrestling matches. He would either slide him a chair, etc., because that's what Jaden Miller does. He likes to help his clients win, because that's the kind of goody two-shoes person Jaden Miller is. And it's the truth. You all know I'm speaking the truth about him. You're just too blind to see it. Just like these pathetic, stupid wrestling fans who support and praise Jaden Miller. Because, yeah, the only reason why Vinnie Joe won was because of my brother Jaden Miller distracting Paul Heyman. And Dan Lambert, my match was next, so go ahead and take it away, Dan Lambert, because I know you do want to. Yeah, whatever, Mr. Mikey Miller. I'll reveal your wrestling match. Next is the NWS Hardcore Championship. NWS Board Directors Chairman Mr. Mikey Miller with Assistant General Manager Paul Heyman in his corner versus NWS Director of Operations Jaden Miller with NWS Revolution Omni Chairman CEO Scott Casey, also known as Scooter St. Williams. Here's an example of how the NWS Revolution match between Mr. Mikey Miller and Jaden Miller might ended in a no contest due to Mikey's antics and Paul Heyman's interference. The match was a back and forth affair with both brothers showcasing their skills and determination. Jaden, known for his virtuous kick and clean style, managed to gain the upper hand multiple times, even hitting his signature move, the J Driller, for a near fall. However, Mr. Mikey Miller true to his name, resorted to dirty tactics throughout the match, waking Jaden's eyes, pulling his hair, and even attempting to use the ring ropes for leverage during a pinfall attempt. The referee, visibly frustrated by Mikey's actions, issued several warnings. The match escalated when Mikey's special counsel, Paul Heyman, made his way to ringside as Jaden locked Mikey in a submission hold. Heyman distracted the referee, allowing Mikey to escape. Enraged, Jaden left the ring to confront Heyman. But Mikey seized the opportunity to hit a low blow on his brother when the referee's back was turned. As the match descended into chaos, the referee struggled to regain control. Jaden, clutching his groin in agony, struggled to stand while Mikey and Paul Heyman continued their antics, attempting to introduce a steel chair into the ring. Finally, with the match completely out of hand, the referee had no choice but to throw it out, declaring the contest to no contest. Despite the non-finish, the Miller brothers' rivalry intensified, setting the stage for future confrontations where Jaden would undoubtedly seek revenge for Mikey's underhanded tactics and the interference of Paul Heyman winning no contest. This was a great match, but I was really, really hoping for Jaden Miller to win. I wanted Jaden Miller to win. Joe Galli wanted Jaden Miller to win. Michael Cole wanted Jaden Miller to win. Scott Casey Gale wanted Jaden Miller to win. The fans wanted Jaden Miller to win. But no, Paul Heyman has to go ahead and ruin it. What did they, Joe Galli? Yes, I mean, I too was really hoping that Jaden Miller would become the new NWS Hardcore Champion, but unfortunately that did not happen. Did it, Mikey? Oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. I gave my brother Jaden Miller the beating that he deserved. Oh, pulling his hair. FYI, lots of heels in professional wrestling have pulled their opponent's hair. And of course, so it was that stupid referee who was warning me, oh, you can't do that to your brother. You can't do that. FYI, referee, I am the hardcore champion for the reason. Because I am the best. I am the NWS Board of Directors Chairman. So, there's a reason why I am the hardcore champion. And then, I'll tell you what happened after the match. Jaden Miller, infuriated by Paul Heyman's actions, watches as Heyman struts around the ring with a smug grin, believing he's gotten away with it. However, as Paul Heyman turns his back to exit, Jaden Miller lunges at him, grabbing him by the collar and dragging him back into the ring. The crowd erupts as Jaden unleashes a barrage of punches on the stunned Paul Heyman, who offers a little resistance. Jaden then hoists Heyman onto his shoulders and delivers a devastating powerbomb, sending a clear message that his actions will have consequences. Says, oh, so Jaden Miller lost to me, and then he takes it out on Paul Heyman, who was, for no apparent reason, he attacks Paul Heyman, who was just doing his job and helping me. But Jaden Miller it's just Jaden Miller. You know, that guy has temper. How dare Jaden Miller, my brother, attack a great genius like Paul Heyman? How dare Jaden Miller put his hands on a WWE Hall of Famer like Paul Heyman, the former owner of ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, the former manager of the Dangerous Family? Paul Heyman is a legend. That's why he offered to become my manager agent, my special counsel, because Paul Heyman creates legends. That's what Paul Heyman does. He helps make wrestlers what they are today. If what I don't know where I would have been without Paul Heyman, but my brother Jaden Miller has got to go ahead and throw a temper tantrum and take his frustrations out on Paul Heyman. And now apparently, Paul Heyman wants an apology from Jaden Miller. And my brother Jaden Miller better give Paul Heyman the apology he deserves. Oh, let's say carries Mischief Mikey Miller, the champion and chaotic mastermind. Yes, I am the hardcore champion, and I am the chaotic mastermind. Scott Casey gave the NWS Revolution CEO, and Mike is unwillingly supported it. Yes, Scott Gale is my subordinate. Of course, Scott Gale would accompany Jaden Miller. Of course he would. And then Jaden Miller, Scott's humiliated manager agent. Yes, my brother Jaden Miller was humiliated. That's what he gets for aligning himself with my shadow and lap servant Scott Gale. Jaden Miller got humiliated. And then Paul Heyman, the puppet master behind Mikey's success. Yes, Paul Heyman is the reason why I have a career here in the NWS Revolution. Paul Heyman recognized me from Darman Studios, and he saw talent in me. And now I am a legend here in the NWS Revolution. Not only that, the Invisible Hand, the general manager of the NWS Revolution, Don Callis, also recognized me. Because both Don Callis and Paul Heyman recognize talent. Yes, talent. Take this away, Joe Galli, because I know you want to read this. Of course. And then the camera enters the opponent but tense office of Scott Gale. He is pacing in vain, posting his forehead on the TV screen. The last moments of the hardcore title match we play on a loop. Jaden Miller is poised to win, but Paul Heyman's intervention creates a no contest finish, and Mikey escapes with his title. Scott Gale says, a no contest, my agent and Heyman, he's in bed with Mikey. I'm the owner, chairman, and CEO. The company is mine. Why am I being made to look like a fool? A voice cuts through the air. Because you are, Scotty. You're a fool with a fancy title. Mikey Miller is behind Scott's desk, feet propped up, grinning. Scott rolls around something. Scott Gale says, "Get out of my office, Mikey. I could." Mikey Miller then says, "You could what, Scott? Fine me? Suspend me? Your plan to have Jaden take the title failed. Where is your lapdog, Jaden? I wanted to thank him personally for his hardcore effort." Scott lunges at the door. "I'm not doing this. I have a main event to prepare for." Mischief Mikey grabs Scott, pulling him back with surprising strength. He lifts the CEO, Scott Gale, and places him in his own oversized leather chair and onto his lap. Scott Gale, Mikey, get off me. What are you doing? Mr. Mikey, relax, Scotty. I'm just making sure you're comfortable. You had a rough night. Since you're so interested in backstage, you can watch the rest of the pay-per-view with me. I got the best seat in the house. Scott struggles, but Mikey's grip is unrelenting. Scott Gale, you're a disgrace. I'm the CEO of this company. I'm the owner, chairman, and CEO of this company. Mischief Mikey Miller patting Scott's head. And you're still on my lap. No, that and Mikey says, you're still on my lap. Now let's watch now let's watch some wrestling, Scott. The camera cuts to a split screen. On the side, Mikey and a furiously humiliated Scott Kissingale are watching the event. On the other end, the next match begins, leaving the audience to wonder how much more Scott can take before his main event match. The final shot is a close of Mikey's satisfied smirk with a powerless Scott Kissingale trapped on his lap. For God's sakes, Mikey, he's a grown man. I mean, come on. What do you think, Dan Lambert? For the love of Christ, Mikey, you still gotta humiliate Scott Kissingale like that. You gotta force Scott Kissingale to sit on your lap, holding him hostage. What's the matter with you, Mikey? Why do you treat Scott Kissingale like that? Oh, because he's your shadow. He's your lap servant. Then, whenever Scott Kissingale uses profanity, you wash his mouth out with soap. He's a grown man. It's a free country. Scott Kissingale can say whatever he wants. My God, Mikey, these humiliation rituals that you're putting him through is enough. When is it going to stop? Jesus Christ. Whoa, 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 whoa. Dan Lambert, do not use Jesus' name in vain. And Joe Galli, Dan Lambert, how many times do I gotta tell him? Scott Kissingale is my puppet. He's my lapdog. He's my lap servant, okay? I am Scott Kissingale's adopted son. He is my adopted father, but he's also my personal servant, my shadow, and my lap servant. I have full control over what Scott Kissingale does. And he's got to understand that I call the shots on him. I am the boss. He's the owner, chairman, CEO. And most owners, chairmen, and CEOs of wrestling companies have the final say. But now that but since I am the NWS board of directors chairman, I have the power to override and overvote any decision that Scott Kissingale makes. Scott Kissingale will definitely continue to sit in my lap and he will never get off my lap. As a matter of fact, I cannot believe that what Scott Kissingale and his manager Jaden Miller did to me, which you'll find. But after that, after I fully recovered from my assault at the end of the pay-per-view, I once again made Scott Kissingale sit in my lap. And you know what? You know what's gonna happen? This coming Thursday on Revolution Impact, I am going to be opening the show, and I, Mischief Mikey Miller, am going to be calling out Scott Kissingale and his manager Jaden Miller. That's right, I, the NWS Board of Directors Chairman and NWS Hardcore Champion, am going to be calling out the NWS Revolution owner, chairman, and CEO Scott Kissingale, also known as Scooter St. William, and his manager, the NWS Board of Directors Chairman, Jaden Miller. And you'll find out why. You will find out why. Now, okay. Now, Paul Heyman is hyping up Cody Mercer as Mercer says tonight he is ending his rivalry with Cody Rhodes because he wants to face other opponents. Co-main event, NWS Undisputed Heavyweight Championship, NWS CEO Cody Mercer with Assistant General Manager Paul Heyman in his corner defeated the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Climatic conclusion to the epic rivalry, NWS CEO Cody Mercer, known for his underhanded tactics and arrogant demeanor, supervised everyone after retaining the NWS Undisputed Championship against Cody Rhodes and a brutal 2 out of 3 fouls match. Match recap. Foul 1, submission match. Mercer forced Rhodes to tap out, proving his technical prowess despite his usual reliance on cheating. Foul 2, street fight. Woods fought back, utilizing the hardcore environment to his advantage and inventing the score. And foul free held himself inside the unforgiving steel structure. Mercer emerged victorious after a hard-fought battle, though securing the final foul and retaining his championship. Post-match respect. As the star was raised, the arena was buzzed up with anticipation for Mercer's usual boastful celebration. However, what unfolded was unexpected. A sober silence fell over the court as Mercer, still holding his undisputed championship, extends his hand to the defeated Cody Rhodes. Rhodes, looking exhausted but determined, accepted the handshake and mutual sign of respect, passing between the two competitors who had pushed each other to the limits. Mercer then surprised everyone by pulling Rhodes into a hug, a rare display of genuine appreciation for the challenges Rhodes has presented, acknowledging the hard-fought nature of their rivalry despite its heel persona. This unexpected show of sportsmanship added a new layer to Mercer's character, blurring the lines between heel and villain and suggesting a deeper respect for competition beneath his arrogant exterior. Let me tell you what exactly happened in the Hell in a Cell. The Hell in a Cell structure is being hoisted slowly above the shattered ring, exposing the war-torn landscape of splintered tables, mangled steel chairs, and torn-up canvas. Cody Mercer, the NWS COO and the undisputed champion, is on his feet with his face of mask exhausted, with his face of a mask of exhaustion, but his eyes holding a cold, triumphant glint. He hoists the title above his head to a cascade of boos and cheers, a sound he has cultivated and embraced for months. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, pushes himself from the wreckage of his body, bruised and cut the unforgiving environment of the cell. He lost the war, the final pinfall coming after Mercer drove him through a table with a brutal pile driver, with a brutal Mercer stunner, pile driver, Mercer bomb. Despite the psychological pain, Rhodes forces himself to his feet. Refusing the referee's aid, he simply stares at Mercer, who is now resting the belt on his shoulder with a smirk. And then the crowd expects Mercer to continue his unusual heel taunt, a final taunt. Disrespectful judges. Anything to rub salt and Rhodes open wounds, but Mercer simply stops. So then Cody Mercer and then uses steel chairs and he hits Cody Rhodes with steel chair, baseball bats, anything he can get his hands on. And then Cody Mercer finishes Cody Rhodes off with a Superman punch and a spear and pins him 1, 2, 3. So then, as I was saying, the crowd expects Cody Mercer to continue his usual heel antics. A final time, disrespectful gesture, anything to rub salt in Rhodes' open wounds, but Mercer simply stops. He lowers the title, the smirk fading into a more neutral, almost thoughtful expression. He looks around at the carnage and then back at Rhodes. The animosity that has fueled their rivalry, the boardroom skirmishes, the psychological warfare, the escalating brutality seems to evaporate, replaced by a quiet, unspoken respect. Rhodes, sensing the ship nods slightly. He takes a step forward, extending his hand. The crowd holds its breath. This is the moment of truth. Will Mercer spit on the jester or unleash another attack, or will we acknowledge the mutual agony that just endured? Mercer stares at at the hand for a long moment, then drops his championship to the mat. The metallic butt echoes through the arena, and the crowd goes silent. Without a word, Mustafa firmly shakes Cody Rhodes' hand. It's a real handshake, not a sarcastic, limp-wristed one. A true sign of earned respect between the two professional athletes. As they release their hands, Musta pulls Rhodes in for a tight but brief embrace. He doesn't say anything to the mic, but a few nearby fans and the commentators at ringside claim that they hear Musta whisper the word. Claim they heard so the commentators Joe Galli, Dan Lambert, and Michael Cole with ringside microphones. So Joe Galli, Dan Lambert, but Michael Cole claimed they hear Mercer whisper two words. You earned every bit of this war. Thank you. He releases words, gives him a quick respectful nod, and picks up his title before exiting the ring, leaving Cody Rhodes alone with the remains of their battlefield and the respect of a heel who never shows it. The gesture leaves everyone, including the crowd, shocked, unsure of how to react to this unexpected moment of sportsmanship from the man who has done everything he could to be hated. Wow, I did not see that coming. But from what I've been told, what will Cody Mercer say? I mean, that was just unexpected. It was a great Hell in a Cell match. And yes, the way Cody Mercer won the Hell in a Cell match was he hit Cody Mercer with the Mercer Stunner, then the Mercer Bomb and a pile driver, and then he Superman punched Cody Rhodes and he finished him off with a spear. Well, it was a brutal, bloody Hell in a Cell match, but at the end, Cody Mercer gave Cody Rhodes respect. What do you think about this moment, Joe Galli? Wow, I did not see that coming from Cody Mercer at all. The way Cody Mercer has been for the last 3 months, bitching and complaining. Surprisingly, after his match with Cody Rhodes ended, he shook his hand and hugged him. Wow. Could this mean that Cody Mercer has been regretting his heel antics? Could this be hint of a face turn for Cody Mercer? Only time will tell. What do you think, Dan Lambert? This was indeed a great main event, but like it surprised me too. I did not expect Cody Mercer to shake Cody Rhodes' hand and embrace him, and I did not expect Cody Mercer to go ahead, and I definitely did not expect Cody Mercer to go ahead and say this. I did not expect Cody Mercer to tell Cody Rhodes, "You earned every bit of this war. Thank you." And so this finally closes the book on the Cody Mercer versus Cody Rhodes rivalry. What's going to happen next? Will we hear from Cody Rhodes? And will we hear from Cody Mercer? And what will Cody Rhodes say about Cody Mercer giving him respect? What will Cody Rhodes say about Cody Mercer telling him that you earned every bit of this war, thank you. And will we hear from Cody Mercer? And from the way I looked at it and the way Joe Galli and Michael Cole looked at it, it truly looked like Cody Mercer meant exactly what he said. He looked Cody after the Hell in a Cell match was over. Cody Mercer looked Cody Rhodes in the eye and he gave him respect. But you asked a very good question, Joe Galli. A very good question. Could this be hints of a babyface turn for Cody Mercer? Or is Cody Mercer still going to be the heel that he is? Only time will tell. But I can't wait to hear what Cody Mercer has to say when he returns to cutting promos here in the NWS Revolution. But wow, just wow. But from what I hear, Cody Mercer is going to be cutting a promo this coming Thursday on Revolution Impact. And so will Cody. So what will they say? What will they say? This is very interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this plays out. And now it's time to reveal the main event. Take it away. Wait, Joe Galli. Thank you, Dan Lambert. Main event. NWS Revolution owner, chairman, CEO Scott Casey, also known as Scooter State William, with the NWS Director of Operations Jaden Miller in this corner. Retains the NWS World Heavyweight Championship against John Moxley in a chaotic main event. The air in the NWS arena crackled with an almost unbearable tension. Tonight, the fate of the NWS World Heavyweight Championship hung in the balance as the reigning champion Scott Casey, flanked by his cunning associate Jaden Miller, prepared to defend the title against the unpredictable challenger John Moxley. Moxley, known for his unhinged intensity, was accompanied by none other than NWS Board of Directors Chairman Mischief Mikey Miller, a man whose presence always signaled impending chaos and underhanded tactics. The match began with an explosive exchange. Moxley charging Scooter State William with a wild abandon that sent the champion reeling. The crowd roared a mix of cheers for Moxley's aggression and cheers for the ever-present Mischief Mikey Miller at ringside, who incessantly distracted the referee. And then Jaden Miller gets it. Then Jaden Miller distracts the referee, allowing Scooter St. William to gain an unfair advantage. Mischief Mikey, looking outside the ring, mirrored Jaden's actions, creating a veritable war zone at ringside, adding another layer of unpredictable chaos to the already intense showdown. The bout escalated into a brutal back-and-forth battle, each competitor showcasing their arsenal of high-impact maneuvers. Moxley, driven to pure adrenaline, locked in the signature, the paradigm shift finisher, only for Scott Casey, Scooter State, aka Scooter St. William, to nearly escape its grasp. Moments later, the referee was temporarily incapacitated, following a collision with Moxley. Jaden seized the opportunity to. Jaden Miller seized the. Jaden Miller seized the opportunity. Hold on. Look, okay. Stop tickling me. Hey, Mikey, stop tickling me. Okay, Jaden Miller. Mikey, I said stop tickling me. Okay, Jaden Miller seized the opportunity, sliding a steel chair into the ring. As Moxie turned his attention to Jaden, Mikey Miller, the NWS chairman himself, slid in and delivered a low blow to Moxie. What? Hey, wait a minute, hold on. So, okay, I'm sorry, but let me do this again. Okay, during the match, Jaden Miller seized the opportunity, sliding a steel chair into the ring. As Moxie turned his attention to Jaden, Mikey Miller, the NWS chairman himself, slid in and delivered a low blow to Scooter St. William, setting him collapsing to the mat, waiting in agony. And then Jaden Miller delivered a low blow to John Moxley, which sending him collapsing to the mat, waiting. Okay, okay. I'm sorry. Let me calm down. Okay, okay. Jaden Miller. Jaden Miller sees the opportunity, sliding a steel chair into the ring. As Moxley turns his attention to Jaden, Mischief Mikey Miller, the NWS chairman, man, slid in and delivered a low blow to Scott Keesegale, also known as Scooter St. William, setting him collapsing to the mat. And then Jaden Miller delivers a low blow to John Moxley, sending him collapsing to the mat, winning agony. Seizing the golden opportunity. I know what you're gonna say, Mikey. Seizing a golden opportunity. The Scott Keesegale also. Hold on, I need to calm down. Okay. Scott Keesegale, also known. Oh, okay. Scott Keesegale, also known as Scooter Sigmund. Scott Keesegale, also known as Scooter Sigmund, grabbed the steel chair, eyes blazing with a newfound wolfness, and decided. You might. Okay. 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 Scott Keesegale, also known as Scooter St. William, grabbed the steel chair, eyes blazing with a newfound ruthlessness, and deceivably, and, and deceivably delivered a brutal chair shot to Moxley, already vulnerable. Already, so Scott Keesegale delivered a brutal steel chair shot to John Moxley's already vulnerable skull, which means he hit John Moxley on the head with a steel chair. And then a dazed Moxley struggled to regain his bearings as Scott Keesegale quickly hit his finisher maneuver, the RKO, sending John Moxley crashing to the canvas. The referee, the referee slowly came to. The referee slowly came to barely able to lift his arm for the free count. 1, 2, 3. So here's what happened. Scott Keesegale hits John Moxley. Jaden Miller during the match slid the steel chair to Scott Keesegale. And then Mischief Mikey Miller decides to interfere in the match and low blow Scott Keesegale. And then Mischief Mikey Miller, then after Mischief Mikey Miller low blow Scott Keesegale, Jaden Miller decides to to, to low blow John Moxley. And then Scott Keesegale hits his finishing maneuver, the RKO, sending John Moxley crashing to the canvas. The referee slowly came to, barely able to lift his arm for the free count. Counts 1, 2, 3. Winner and still NWS World Heavyweight Champion Scott Keesegale, also known as Scooter St. William. And this was a great main event, a really good main event, especially because both Scooter St. William and John Moxley put on a great main event. And another great interesting part was the interference from both Jaden Miller and Mr. Mikey Miller. The bell rang, signaling the end of the grueling contest. Scott Keesegale, with a smirk, passed the. What the hell? What the? I'm sorry. Okay, I need to calm down. The bell rang, signaling. The bell rang, signaling the end of the grueling match contest. Scott Casey with, 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 with a smirk plastered across his face. Dan Nevin, maybe you should take this one. I'm sorry. Allow me. Okay. Because Mr. Mikey Miller was tickling Joe Dowdy. Okay. Oh, okay. Scott Casey Gale with a smoke plastered across his face, clutched the NWS World Heavyweight Championship high above his head. The World Heavyweight Championship, once again, Jaden Miller and Mr. Mikey Miller shared a knowing look. Their coordinated efforts paying off beautifully, cementing Scott Casey Gale's reign for less than audible means, and leaving the NWS audience to ponder the implications of the board of director chairman's blatant interference in the championship match. Moxley defeated and saving could only glare at his assailants as the victorious trio existed, leaving a stunned crowd to consummate the controversial outcome of the championship encounter. Well, it was a great match, but you know what? John Moxley was using dirty antics in the match. Mr. Mikey Miller low-blowed Scott Casey Gale. You, Mr. Mikey Miller, low-blowed Scott Casey Gale. You were helping John Moxley. So why not Jaden Miller get involved and help Scott Casey Gale? It makes sense. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to win. And then the best part was what happened after the match. Following the championship match, Scott Casey Gale and Jaden Miller attacked Mischief Mikey Miller, executing a double RKO that sent them through a table. This act appears to be Jaden Miller exacting revenge on his brother, the Mr. Mikey Miller, from protecting Sting from Mr. Okay, here it is. I'm going to read it again because it was so great. Following the championship match, Scott Casey Gale and Jaden Miller attacked Mischief Mikey Miller, executing a double RKO that sent him for a table. This act appears to be Jaden Miller exacting revenge on his brother Mischief Mikey Miller, protecting Sting from Mischief Mikey Miller, and Paul Heyman's help cost Jaden Miller from becoming the NWS Hardcore Champion early on. So that this was Jaden Miller's getting revenge on his brother Mischief Mikey Miller. Wow. I was so glad that Mischief Mikey Miller finally got RKO'd through a table. That was definitely karma. Because both Jaden Miller and Scott Casey Gale made Mischief Mikey Miller their bitch. What do you say, Joe Galli? Oh, okay, yes, I am calmed down now. But yes, I love the interference from Jaden Miller because you're right. Mischief Mikey Miller was getting involved. So why not Jaden Miller get involved? Sometimes you gotta use dirty antics to win. And that's what Scott Casey Gale did, and the fans loved it. The fans loved it. Sorry for the laughing, but it was just so funny. It was just so funny seeing Scott Casey Gale and his manager Jaden Miller RKO Mischief Mikey Miller through a table. I loved every minute of that. How does it feel, Mikey? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no wonder you were laughing, Joe Connie, because you approve of Scott Casey Gale's dirty antics. Of course, Jaden Miller has got to go ahead and help Scott Casey Gale win. Oh, for God's, no wonder you were laughing. And how is that fair? How is that fair that Jaden Miller has got to get involved in Scott Kisagale's match? Huh? How is that fair? Like I said, I'm going to be opening Revolution Impact this coming Thursday, and I'm going to call out the NWS Revolution owner, chairman, and CEO, and the World Heavyweight Champion Scott Kisagale, and his manager agent, the NWS Director of Operations Jaden Miller, because I am going to question their actions. Why? I mean, come on, why? Why did Scott Kisagale got to use a steel chair that Jaden Miller slided to him? Why did Scott Kisagale got to go ahead and hit John Moxley on the head with a steel chair? Why? Because I tell you what, because Scott Kisagale probably wouldn't have been able to beat John Moxley fair and square. So, of course, Scott Kisagale's got to cheat to win. That's what Jaden Miller does. That's the kind of manager agent my little brother Jaden Miller is. He's trying to one-up me. I see right through their bull crap. Both Scott Kisagale and Jaden Miller will do anything to win. Scott Kisagale, also known as Scooter St. William, will use any dirty antic to win. And you two commentators call me out for my dirty antics, for my actions, and of course, Joe Galli and Dan Lambert, of course, you gotta go ahead and approve of the way Scott Kisagale won the match. Of course. And of course, you're going to cheer that Scott Kisagale and Jaden Miller RKO'd me through a table. Of course. Yeah. Well, you just wait and see, because I'm going to get my revenge on Scott Kisagale, and I'm going to get my revenge on my little brother Jaden Miller, because because Scott Kisagale's actions need to be questioned. Jaden Miller is, I mean, because Scott Kisagale and their faces, John Moxley is a heel, but the way Scott Kisagale defeated John Moxley, yeah, of course, no, that doesn't surprise you, because Jaden Miller is always handing Scott weapons. And it's been proven. Just watch the recent episodes of Revolution Impact. When Jaden Miller accompanied Scott Kisagale, he was always handing him weapons, always distracting the referee. And you two commentators don't even question it. You don't even call it out. How much is Scott Kisagale and Jaden Miller paying you? I want to know, Joe Galli and Dan Lambert. I want to know. But anyway, it was a great pay-per-view, but with a controversial ending. And this is Mischief Mikey Miller signing off. And I will see you on this coming Thursday when me and Michael Cole reveal Revolution Impact. I gotta say, it was even though the ending was controversial and questionable, it was a great main event. And Scott Kisagale, also known as Scooter St. William, is still your NWS World Heavyweight Champion. This is Joe Galli signing off. And Michael Cole will reveal Revolution Impact with Mr. Mikey Miller this coming Thursday or Friday. Good night, everybody. Yes, it was a great controversial ending, but as I said, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to win. And Scott Kisagale, also known as Scooter St. William, was just shown that if Mischief Mikey Miller can cheat to win, then Scott Kisagale could do. That's what he did. That's what Scooter St. William did. He took a page out of Mischief Mikey Miller's playbook, and that was smart. That was a smart move on Scott Kisagale's part. Hitting John Moxley on the head with a steel chair and then RKO'ing him. That is how you win a match. That is what, and Scott Kisagale did what he had to do to retain the NWS World Heavyweight Champion. Well, thank you for watching. This is Dan Lambert signing off. Good night, everybody.